Good afternoon, I guess. It's almost noon here Pacific time. Welcome, we're back. Figured I would jump on. I looked at this card at Gulfstream today, and I've been covering Gulfstream, trying to do more videos, see if I can, find the right spot. I thought you could find a couple singles here. Pick five starts in 4 minutes. I thought it had a look. There's a couple chalky favorites here, but I tossed other favorites. So I think you can find your spot of where you want to narrow. I think there's a few different spots. I personally, in the first leg here, I just couldn't even use the 4. It's the favorite. I'm tossing it. I'm using other chalky favorites. So, I think you can get a little bit of a price here. When you look at Rogers Park, I mean, it's been facing tougher, did lose. The GSR drops 24 points from Equine Edge on the move from turf to PETA. And, Safi, Gill, the source is taking a lot of money at 4 to 5. I don't trust it. Not at all. It's only 28%. I mean, they're going to be sprinting here. I think the one Dude Ranch will show speed. I think as a look with Miggy a ride for Kent Sweezy, they add blinkers. I also think you could have any of these other horses here could hit at a nice price. So you'll see with my pick 5, I'm not even using the 4. I think you can beat it here in the first leg. For me, most people are going to single in race 6 or 9. I lean towards singling here if you wanted to spread in race 9. I just thought the Heart Cargo was probably going to win this race. And hey, Dave, thank you. You too. And I just thought there's a lot of speed though. So I thought deflection maybe could hit in a vertical bet, maybe in an exacta or trifecta, but maybe a 2-5 exacta cold. But I did think Hot Cargo, drops from much tougher for Safi. First off the layoff, did have some layoff lines, but ran well here on the lead in a 60 and now drops 8 points in SOR. That's a massive drop into this allowance optional claim here, non-winners of 1 from this race last style. You can see he was facing way tougher at Woodbine and even so here at Gulfstream Park. So I thought Mirage, riding great at Gulfstream Park, great on the front end. The rail, I believe, is out here. Yeah, it's out at 80 feet. So I thought it would be really tough with speed. Probably my best bet of the day from a win bet, but it can be chalky, right? So, but maybe a 2-5 cold exacta. If you don't, like the pick 5, I like that from a vertical. I did think race 7 was tough as well. I thought you might be able to catch a little bit of a price, and you could see the picks there. I ended up landing on 5, 10, 2 as my top 2 picks, but you can also see the 12 and 13 I used in a pick 5 because I think the value. I did think Jimmy's Big Day, for Safi, comes very similar, 1 of 56 back here, could sit a stocking trip, gets out of the 11 post, which I thought was really huge here, and he was kind of hung wide and had no real shot. You get back here in a 56 and, didn't run, but you could toss that effort. First time Safi, and this is not, it's a rough, very competitive group here in this race. So I thought might sit the trip because there is a lot of speed up front, I would say. And I thought the 5 might sit the trip, but I did think it was kind of a tough race. A horse like Rough Draft could win. Rolling On might be the speed of the speed, I thought, up front. And there's others here in High Limit Room and Gepard. I could see I cut them, but people might like them. But I was against them. If the speed gonna win, it's gonna be Rolling On with Amicia Heart Mio. But tough race. But again, I thought you could beat maybe these short price in like the 8. And, maybe get a little bit of a price there. And then in race, I didn't even use the 2. It's only 5%, 2 to 1 on the E morning line. I didn't like Ephesius at all. Does come from, tougher, but not running. And you look back to these races, these were much easier for Brad Cox. Now in the D'Angelo barn, he's having a good meet, but I was against another favorite here. So against a favorite in race 5, against a favorite in race 8, did use a couple favorites in the pick 5, but you could play, cheap pick 4s as well. but I spread here a little bit. You can see the morning line on the 8, My Lady James, Edgar Zara's rides, leading jock at the meet. It's not a great morning line, maybe, but maybe you find some value. I mean, dropping versus much tougher and likely to show speed with Edgar. So, in Denver's Alley, I think up front could be tough. But again, I thought the 8 might cause a little bit of disruption to 3 potentially, and Foggy Notor Jokes Up might get up. You can see their top 2 picks. When you look at the race sim, the 1 and 4 are getting up there for Equinedge. And then also, I'll go back to, race 6. When you watch the race sim here, the 2 really does, it shows here it kind of gets the lead ultimately, but nobody really comes other than the 5 or 7. So it's, again, why I thought the 2 was tough there. And then we'll talk about the last. This was kind of the race that, I just ended up double singling versus these other 2 kind of, I thought, vulnerable favorites. I thought that Surf's Up, if you look here for Weaver, added blinkers last out and nearly wired the field, I would say needs the lead. There is a couple firsters here in the 2 and 7, which I was trying to say, okay, can either one of these run? And I kind of landed on, I just thought the 4 would be the toughest. Misael Jaramillo again on the lead, I thought would be really tough and ran really well here. You can see the 13% went up to 59%. So a couple of, probably chalks in a lot of spots. Don't go crazy, but I thought it could pay okay if you can beat these other favorites, even with a couple chalks. So best bet though, race 6 would be on the 2, probably a short price.